Hey guys and girls, Matt here from Sales Sniper, and you're struggling to close on the phone, struggling to take credit card details. It's totally cool. It's a very, very normal thing to struggle with. What I've done is I've done a real life sales call for one of my sales coaching clients because they were struggling to close over the phone. So I wanted to take them through the step-by-step process, have them have a call recording that they could actually use. This is a $1,500 online personal training product, so not like a huge product or anything like that, but it's also not super low end. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to go take you through step by step exactly what I did, why I did it, how I did it, and like my thought process throughout the entire time. So bear with me. You're going to see my head a lot. Not talking, that's cool. You're going to be listening to the video, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up at certain points and kind of explain to you exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. Let's get that hustle sign in the back. That's my new thing right there. I think it's cool. I like it. All right, so let's go.
Hello, Sammy speaking.
Hey Sammy, it's just Matt from Back to Me. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. We have a...
So obviously the very, very first part of the call, all we're doing is just saying, hello, how you going? And then, like, I said just there because it assumes, like, familiarity. So it kind of disarms people a little bit and it makes it feel like they should know who you are. This was a booked-in call. So she knew who that was. I should be calling. Hey, it's just Matt.
Quick call between for now. Is it still an appropriate time for you?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Always want to find out.
Perfect. So we have a call booked today to kind of, you obviously booked a call to find out a little bit more about our program, and I just really wanted to know, what is it that sort of sparked your interest to book this call with me today?
Well, I guess I just had a baby about
Okay, so the wording there, what is it that sparked your interest in order to book this call with me today? So the reason why I said that is because I want to know, like, what is it that interested in him? Obviously, I know it's going to be about weight loss, but I don't want to assume anything, because every time you assume something, you're probably going to screw it up because you don't understand the context of their life, how they think. Nothing. You haven't ever spoken to this person before. So, yeah, like, chances are whatever you assume, you're probably going to stuff it up. So I want to find out, and also I want them to remind themselves why they got excited, why they booked the call, because the more someone tells themselves something, the more powerful it is. Okay, and that'll become a theme in what we end up doing.
Weeks ago, my second baby.
Boy or girl?
Thank you. She's a girl. She's perfect beyond belief.
Nice one. They always are.
But I gained a lot of weight through my pregnancy. I gained 25 kilos.
Okay.
So, like, when I gave birth to her, I was like 85 kilos. And now I'm 75 kilos, and I want to be back down to 60.
Okay. Like, was that different from your first pregnancy in terms of the weight gain?
I gained a lot in my first pregnancy too. Not quite as much, about 5 kilos less.
Okay. So notice how I kind of rolled over like what her goal was, because it's important for me to know, but it's not the most important thing right now. And one thing that a lot of less competent salespeople would do is then interject their solution very quickly. Oh, that's fantastic, because on this call, I'm going to teach you all about it. It's what our program does. Amazing. Yada, yada, yada. Wrong. Don't do it. No one cares about your solution yet. You don't even know what their problems are. You can't offer a solution if you don't know the problem. So don't do it.
But I just wasn't as focused on losing weight in that pregnancy because it was my first baby and it was really full on. So I didn't really think about it until later on. And then I just kind of slowly lost it. This time I've got a routine going a bit better. So I kind of want to get onto that a bit sooner, I suppose.
Okay, so you said that you have a routine at the moment. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, like, I mean, with the baby. So she's on a routine with her naps. She naps 3 times a day.
Okay, so I asked about something specifically because I don't really know what that means. So again, it's being curious. By routine, she said she's in a routine. So like in the back of my head, I assume what she means is a training regime. So if I went, Oh, what kind of like training routine do you have at the moment? You just watch what would have happened.
She's on a routine with her naps. She naps 3 times a day, and like at least one of those per day she'll do in her own bed. So that gives me like a little bit of free time, I suppose, to focus on something for myself, like exercise.
Okay. And so like after your first child, you said it took you, like you didn't really focus on it. How long did it take you to get back to pre-baby weight, or did you get there?
Okay, so I'm just trying to establish a little bit of backstory on how long it took her to get her last swing, because I want to kind of establish timelines that she's okay with, and then morph that into the timelines that she actually like wants to do for this one. But you notice I'm only asking questions. There's no solutions, no nothing. I'm not really saying anything at this point. I just want a lot of information.
I was probably back to pre-baby weight at 9 months postpartum. It took me about 6 months to get there, I think.
Okay, that's great. Well done. And I suppose, is that a timeline that you're looking to replicate this time? Or do you have a different timeline in place that you think you can achieve this goal?
See, so with that, I'm trying to figure out, how fast she wants to do things, but I don't want to ask her, and how fast do you want to achieve your goal? I want to do things in more roundabout ways, more neutral ways that seem more conversational than rather just like, and when do you want to achieve your goals? That's salesy bullshit.
I think a month is pretty good, but if it can be done a little sooner, that'd be good too. I just don't want to do anything too extreme, obviously, because I'm like breastfeeding and stuff.
For sure. And like, I suppose, like, what do you think are the things that need to happen to ensure you do get the best chance of having the result? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like need to be done?
So the reason why I'm asking that is because, again, I want her to tell herself, like, the things that she feels she needs. If I start saying things like, you need accountability and this and this and this, she wants to be like, oh yeah, okay. But there might be something very specific that she wants. So I want her to give her the opportunity to really tease that out.
I just need to know, like, what to do. Like, I don't know what kind of exercise is the best to do, and also, like, safest to do after having had a baby. And food-wise as well, I don't really know, like, what's the best things to eat for fat loss. Like, I know how to eat healthy and stuff, but I think there's a difference between eating healthily and, like, losing weight, I suppose.
Okay, so would you be able to walk me through what you're currently doing?
So I want you to be honest. How many of you during that part would have rammed a solution down her throat and said, amazing, perfect, we can do this, we can do that? A lot of you. It's because you suck at this.
Right now, in terms of eating, in terms of, like going out, are you exercising off? Just so I can start to really get a picture as to, like, what your daily routine is or your weekly routine.
Okay, so this is, I'm trying to start to establish, like, I kind of got a brief idea as to what she wants. I know what her timeline is. I know a couple of small challenges. I know she's got some time available. I know she wants to do it. But there's a lot of objections that are going to be coming up. So what I want to start to do is start to pre-handle that stuff. What am I going to get? Time. I'm going to get think about it. I'm going to get price. I'm going to get partner. Those are the 4 things I have to handle during this call. And if I don't handle them early, it's very difficult to handle them later. And even if you do handle them, that person might just sign up because you've like outwitted them, which isn't a good long-term client.
Well, I go out for walks a lot through the day with the baby, often in the carrier because she doesn't like being in the pram. That's really my only form of exercise, just walking around with her to the shops or to the grocery store and that sort of thing. Food-wise, I'm just trying to, like, not eat too much, but, like, I'm just eating, like, your standard, toast or cereal for breakfast, wraps for lunch, I don't know, like oven-cooked meals for dinner, that sort of thing, and then snacking and stuff. So, like, nothing specific, just kind of things that are quick and easy.
Okay, so that was all obviously very, very surface level and probably not the whole story. So we know as coaches that's not what's going on. not many people are going to gain massive amounts of weight or not be able to lose weight on that diet, given the fact that she's breastfeeding and busy and all this kind of stuff. So there's more going on here. All right, so let's pick it back up and start to real dig in to find out what it is she's really doing.
Okay, and in terms of like on a weekly basis, like how many meals would you buy versus cooking? Because obviously, you know, like a pasta that you make is going to be different than a pasta that you buy, or mashed potatoes that you make is different than mashed potatoes at a restaurant. So, like, how many times a week would you eat out, or would you buy a meal?
Makes total sense given the context.
We're probably eating out a lot at the moment for breakfast, actually, because we go to the cafe with the baby. It's just like something nice to do with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So probably
And what do you usually have at those
4
cafes?
times that.
Ooh, we have some good info. We have some really good info. Now we know she's gone out to cafes all the time. We also know she's got a husband. Let's see where that goes.
Okay. And
I'll get like
a
big breakfast kind of thing. Like,
okay.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Delicious. Well, it's definitely one of my favorites. So I'm with you there. And have you restarted your social life yet, or are you still kind of tucked away in the house doing the whole baby thing?
Definitely, like, we're just looking after the baby. I had a mum's group with my firstborn, but they don't go into mum's groups for your secondborn for some reason.
Weird, that, isn't
I
it?
still chat to my mum.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I still chat to my mum's group for my firstborn, but other than that, yeah, not really.
Okay. And like before reaching out to us, have you reached out to anybody else to try and get some stuff fixed and sorted? Or like what, if anything, have you done to, I guess, help that weight loss progression?
Okay, so what information do we have now? Her and her husband both get a big breakfast 4 times a week from a cafe. Big breakfast, let's say she lives in Sydney or Melbourne or one of the major cities, doesn't really matter. It's $20 each, $40 a day. Probably with coffees, $50 a day. 4 times a week, that's $200 a week on cafe food. Price objection going to be obliterated. That's also going to really, really hurt her weight loss. I mean, those big breakfasts are going to be at least 1,000 calories. If you have a nice big breakfast with a coffee and stuff like that, no drama. It's also going to kill her fat loss. So, we've got a lot of options there. We're just going to dive a little bit deeper. We want to get that information conversationally. We don't want to make a big deal out of it. We just kind of want to keep probing and clarifying and figuring out what's going on.
I've just scrolled around on Instagram trying to find other mums that have shown what they've done workout wise and stuff like that. There's not a whole lot, kind of just people showing what they do now, not at the time, in the process of losing it. So I just don't know.
So again, this is all about, what sort of prompted you to reach out. She's going to tell herself what it is about this program in particular, about this marketing campaign. This is a fitness program for new moms, and it was done by a new mom, and she did the whole progression. So it's a great program, and it's great for new moms, and so she's perfectly in the demographic for it, right? And so the marketing is what kind of reached out to her. And so I want her to tell herself and get herself a little bit excited as to the reasons why. I should have dug deeper on this, but I didn't.
If what they're doing now is what I should be doing, if it's safe and all that sort of stuff. Okay,
so what is it about, the advertisement or, what we do that kind of sparked your interest? What is it that kind of leads to really having this call today? I know that you're looking for solutions and answers and help, but, what is it really that kind of honed you in on spending, what precious time you do have on a phone call with some guy that you never met before?
By phrasing it that way, what I'm doing is I'm showing hey, listen, you've already made some sort of commitment. You've already identified why is this important to you? Obviously something that you saw sparked you an interest enough for a new mom who's got no time as it is to take time out of her day to talk to some guy. So what is it? It's let's start to get some importance and some brevity.
I guess just to get more knowledge. So if they can just tell me exactly what to do, and I can just do that, so I can just not have to think about it, because I don't have the energy to think about it.
Okay, so something that's just kind of hey, listen, life is stressful, everything's going on, follow the bouncing ball, do this, and you feel like you have the best chance of doing it, because it's all about that certainty, right? So it all comes down to if you're confident in a plan, then you can execute it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And,
and just having the accountability as well, someone like checking in on me.
Okay, great. So making sure that you're doing it and making sure that you don't sort of, for lack of a better term, have excuses that stop you from doing things that we all agree are within your best interest. Yeah?
That's right.
A little bit of framing and seating there.
Okay, and your partner, does your partner know that we're on the call today? Have you kind of discussed like what it is you think you need with him and kind of, or her, and kind of going through that process of saying like, hey, I think I really want some help at the moment? Have you guys had that discussion?
Right, so this is where I'm going to pre-handle the partner. By doing it that way, does your partner know you're on the call today? Have you guys had that discussion? Like, I'm going to find out a little bit of info on that, so I should be able to kind of pre-handle it and sort of seed that it's okay and get her to say it too.
Yeah, he's on board. He knows that this is important for me, like for my mental health as well.
Okay, fantastic. And in terms of like the timing of everything that's going on, why do you feel like now is a good time to do things? Like why now?
So if you notice there's like a slight skepticism in my voice. Like, why now though? And the reason why I've done that is because I want her to push back a little bit and be like, well, it's important for these reasons. You know what I mean? And so it's like a very tactical, intentional pushback to get a little bit of forced resistance to get her to demonstrate her position better.
Oh, just because I think I've given enough time between my birth and now, and because the baby's like in like a semi-routine, I think I have the availability to do it.
Yep.
So yeah, before that I was a hot mess. So I'm good now.
Okay, and like, I guess going back to your last pregnancy, because obviously it took you like a much longer period of time.
Okay, so what have we established now? We're only 8 minutes into the call. I know this video is long, but bear with it. And we've already gotten rid of the time objection because of what she just said, like she's ready to do it now. We've got rid of the partner objection. We've gotten rid of the money objection. And we have established a couple of things that she's doing within her lifestyle that are going to stop her from losing weight. And we have a rough goal. She wants to lose about 15, 20 kilos. And now we're going to dig into why. And this is where it all starts to come together.
Kind of get into everything. What do you think were the reasons last time that it took you a bit longer? Was it just a bit of shell shock, or was it that you just didn't really know where to start? Like what's the reasons? I suppose what I'm getting at is, what are some of the things that happened last time that kind of caused it to protract out a bit longer than what you wanted to? What are the things that we don't want to let happen this time to allow that same result to happen?
So what we're doing here is I'm going, okay, what are the habits that you had last time that caused your weight loss to take longer than you wanted it to when you had your last baby? And how do we establish some norms where those don't become habits that cause you to have the same result this time? And so by her saying it, by her doing that, and by her giving me permission to like coach her through that, it means that none of those excuses are now valid. So those thought patterns and habits that she had, she's going to slap them away.
I guess because I was a first-time mum, it was really overwhelming. So I was just incredibly preoccupied figuring out how to look after a baby, and losing weight just wasn't even on my radar. And then when I wanted to lose weight, again, I just didn't really know what I was doing. So I kind of just plodded along, and I guess it eventually came off. But I think, yeah, but like I could have lost more, I suppose, before I had my second baby. Like I wasn't like exactly where I wanted to be. So this time I don't think I'll have any more children. So this time I'd like to just get my body to exactly where I want it to be, efficiently, I suppose.
And what is that body like? What is the kind of vision that you have?
Oh, there it is. So now, sort of getting into it now, want to go, ooh, what's the vision? Where are we going? What are we trying to do? Start to get some more defined, those SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely.
Well, I'd like to be at least 60 kilos, maybe a couple of kilos lighter than that, and just toned, not have any real excess fat on my stomach, just to give me the best opportunity to have loads of energy to play with Mike as well.
Okay. And have you been there before? Like, have you been to a perfectly flat stomach, sort of like in a place where you're really happy with your physique?
Yeah, I was at before I had any kids.
Okay. And what was your routine back then, or did you have any sort of set way of doing things that caused you to be able to get that way?
The reason why I asked that is because I wanted to make sure she didn't have crazy, unrealistic expectations of herself, and that she wasn't thinking that she had to do like 5 times a week in the gym to get a result. Because this program is 3 times a week, 30 minutes at home training with no thing, and then like a nutrition plan and like accountability and coaching and stuff. And so this is much more low key than what she might have done in the past, but it's still very effective. So I wanted to make sure that like I sort of pre-handled any sort of crazy expectations. She's like, in order to lose weight, I have to train 10 times a week. So I want to kind of figure out where she's at with that without just kind of telling her. I want her to tell me so I can shape it.
I guess I had the luxury of being able to exercise regularly without any like responsibility because I didn't have anyone to look after, so I could just do my thing. And also I was a little bit younger, so I think my metabolism was probably a little bit faster and just my body worked a bit more efficiently, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And so, like, I suppose, what's the reason why it's important to do this again?
So I wasn't pausing because I didn't know what to say. I was pausing because I wanted to make it sound like I was thinking a lot because my word choice was important. When you pause and intentionally stutter, like I just did, it makes what you're saying sound very important. so keep listening.
Like I'll tell you a little bit of a story to kind of like understand, because like you don't know me very well, so sometimes the best way to understand like why that question's important is to kind of tell you a story. So what I'll do is I'll tell you why I do what I do. So
this is what I call tactical vulnerability. You've probably heard it like a nightmare story before. It's kind of like a cheat code that I use to get to the core of an emotional issue very quickly. Through telling a story about yourself or about somebody else. Usually about yourself is a little bit more powerful. So this is like a tactical move because I've got a lot of very good information, but the conversation's been relatively surface level. She hasn't really allowed me to probe and clarify really deeply. So I don't have, like, I've got the goal and I've got the things that are holding her back and I've pre-handled the objections, but I don't have enough emotional anchoring to that goal to push her over the line if she gives me objections right now. So I kind of had to pull like a little bit of a cheat code and go, okay, I'm just going to show immense vulnerability to then get her to mirror that, because that's what people do.
Boss coach, I help people, specifically new moms, get their body back, right? And they get what's called back to me, right? So that's what the program is. And we help new moms sort of transition that. And so the reason why I'm passionate about this is because I was an overweight kid, right? And I grew up with really bad habits around foods and stuff like that. And so, like, I didn't understand why I was, like, I just never knew it. Like, I just used to grab my stomach when I was, like, 12 years old and just be like, what is this? Like, I just didn't get it, right? And as I got older, I sort of just, like, luckily was super active, so it kind of started to fall off me a bit. But I still had the bad habits. And then I joined the military. Same thing, had the bad habits, but I was so active because I was in special operations. So I was just an active guy. I never really got fat, but I was never really lean. I never really understood why I wasn't as lean as the other dudes, because they were walking around like with six packs and stuff. But and then when I got out, I became a personal trainer. And I sort of started to understand, oh shit, I have a lot of bad habits. And I started to talk to a lot of people and help them lose weight. And I would sit in front of people who were 30, 40, 50, 60 kilos overweight. And I would listen to them, and they would say, you know what, like, now just isn't the time. I got the kids and I got work and I got this and this and this. Like, I didn't understand what they were saying, but I understood it on some level. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I started to sort of think about it as a different way, and I was like, oh, I had this sort of like, oh shit moment where I was like, oh, we're all like perfectly designed to be exactly where we are. Like, every habit I had from when I was a kid had put me in a position where every single decision that I made led me to never really have the body that I wanted, but I didn't really understand that. And so I started to realize that I have to start thinking as if, because if I'm already there, I make the decisions of someone who's already there. So I started being a bit more balanced on my meals. I started doing more meal preparation because I am someone who just gives into temptation relatively easily, right? So if something isn't there, I won't eat it. And if I have a prepackaged meal that's convenient, I will eat it, right? So that's where, I start to go through the prepackaged and meal prep. It saves me loads of time, saves me loads of money, right? Like for you, you're going out 4 or 5 times a week to a cafe, spending $25, $30, between the two of you, spending like $60. So you're spending like probably $200 to $300 a week on cafe food, yeah? And, that's awesome that you guys can do that. But, for a lot of people, that's just not a luxury that they don't have, right? So, learning how to meal prep and knowing that eating healthy is not expensive and that we can sort of go through these processes where like it makes it easy and convenient. We start to make choices, right? And so when I ask you like why you're doing this, the reason why I help people is because like I understand that everyone's kind of been engineered to be exactly where they are. Like you're in the perfect position for where you are right now because every decision you make causes you to be there. And if you're not happy with certain things, then what we need to do is start to transition out from who we are to like where we want to be and change the perspective and start making decisions as if we are already there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a storytelling. I have a very storytelling style of sales, just because it leads to my personality. So what I wanted to do was give her some vulnerability and give her some context as to why I can do what I do. But like not from a standard where I have like, because I have a PhD in like, physical, whatever. They can't relate to that, but they can relate to being overweight and not really understanding why. And then by telling stories about clients that I've worked with who are in bad situations, but like not vilifying the person, but understanding it's a behavior. Like if a child is naughty, you don't call them a naughty child. You tell them you're a fantastic child, but your behavior is bad. So let's vilify the behavior, understand it's a series of habits, and then fix the behaviors. But it's not your fault that you have these behaviors and habits. So let's figure out what's going on and why. And talking about people in worse situations and about their decision-making process and why that's the decision-making process. And so I think like you can understand where I was trying to go with it. And all that stuff's true. It's very hard to lie on a sales call. At least I find it very hard to lie. So all that stuff is true. But it was kind of really trying to get escape and trying to really understand and set a framework that if she wants a different result, she has to make different decisions. And by showing her vulnerability and then by going back and really going, this is why I help people, then that can let her open up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why is it that you feel like it's important to lose the weight and get back to that flat stomach pre-baby? Like what are the reasons that are sort of, for lack of a better term, keeping you up at night that are going to help me as a coach kind of take you through the process and start to change some of those habits? So this is a long-term approach. It's not just to get lean and then go back to the same habit. What's the real reason why you want to do this?
Well, it makes me feel good about myself. Like when I look nice, that means a lot to me. And
why?
Also, I want to have energy to play with my kids. I don't want to be like, the fat mum that's all frumpy and can't do anything. Like I want to get down on the floor with them, play with them, all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so you feel like if you lose weight, you sort of like you'll be able to be the mom that you want to be. And
that's right.
If you're overweight. Okay,
so now it's no longer a decision as to, we've changed the frame from I want to do a program to lose weight to I want to make decisions that cause me to be the best parent possible. I either want to make those changes or I don't. So the framework is very different now. So the consequences of inaction have now been expanded. Now, I could have gone much deeper into this, and if I had longer, like I closed this girl in 23 minutes, like I could have gone for like an extra and just kind of dove in deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and get her crying and all that kind of stuff. But I just, to be honest, I just didn't feel I needed to. I felt like I was in good control of the call. I knew what objection I was going to get at the end. I knew how I was going to handle it. I was pretty confident I could close her. But if this was a more expensive sale, like a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 one, I would have booked out longer time and I would have gone much deeper into certain parts of it.
All right, perfect. Well, that's a great reason, right? So that means that if there are obstacles in your way, then me as a coach, I can reframe you. Does that make sense? I can go, hey,
Yep,
Sammy,
you
like
can remind
the
me.
reason why we're doing this is you want the best mom you can be. And you know that being overweight, extra weight, being tired, and like not living that healthy lifestyle is, one, going to pass on those habits, but two, you're just not going to be fulfilled in who you are. And, you know, like there's ramifications to these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, you've mentioned a few things. You mentioned accountability. You've mentioned like a step-by-step plan. Is there anything else that you feel like you really need to like give yourself best chance of being in the best position to achieve your goal? And I say it that way because I don't want to say, what do you need to ensure that you can achieve your goal? Because nothing is a guaranteed in life. So what we want to do is consistently put ourselves in the best position, right? So you said accountability, you said a step-by-step process. Is there anything else that you know you need to be in that best position possible?
Framing it that way because I'm setting up my initial trial close. So I want to get a pre-commitment before I get a actual like a buy. So it's my pre-commitment, and that's the reason why I word it that way, and it'll make sense at the end of the call.
I can think of.
Okay, sweet. So I feel like it's appropriate at this stage for me to tell you a little bit about how we work and what we do. So that
Yeah, that'd be great.
help you.
I'm asking permission to pitch. Essentially is what I'm doing there. I don't just want to go, okay, so this is what we do. I want to go, do you feel it's appropriate at this stage for me to talk to you about this? Yeah, of course. Okay, sweet. Small commitment.
Right now? Okay, so essentially our program is 16 weeks. And what we do is we take people like yourself and we walk them through a step-by-step process, and we hold your hand throughout the whole thing through like group coaching and community, and we give you the process and the planning.
If you notice, like, this is essentially the features and benefits of the program, and like the pitch or like the presentation phase is like 2 minutes because the deliverables are borderline irrelevant when you understand the real problems. So once they're aware, it's not super important what the actual deliverables are. So all that value stacking on that bullshit. This is how like a presentation phase is relatively short.
Both nutritional, mindset, and also from an actual workout point of view, to be able to give you the result that you want. Now, you want to lose about 15 kilos. I think a reasonable expectation for that is around 20 to 25 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I say it that way is you can probably lose it a lot faster, but I want to create a realistic expectation in your mind so that we don't, because you might lose a kilo a week for the first 5 weeks, right? But I don't want you to think that that's what you need to do long term, because we're in this to get a real lasting change, and doing things in a really extreme way, like you said, is not really what you want to be doing, because
I was anchoring something to what she said before. She said she doesn't want to do anything extreme. So it's just making sure that we're on the same page and that she knows that I've been listening.
Again, you are still breastfeeding, and there are some nutritional things we don't want to go into too much of a deficit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we walk you through the process, we hold your hand, we coach you throughout the entire thing. And every single week because we went through the program step by step with a mother with a new baby, and we did the program with her, right? And we walked through the process and also went through what she was going through at the time. And so every single week you see what she's doing in real time. Then you also see what she looks like now doing it with you, so you can get some more ideas about form and stuff like this. The baby's with her while she's training. This is real life. It's not the prettiest stuff always, you know what I mean? Because it is filmed like in real time, you know what I mean? And so, but it's really designed to be raw and real, and it's designed to sort of give you an idea that you can do this. You know what I mean? We did it together, and we can do it together with you. Does that sound like the kind of program that can put you in the best position possible to be able to achieve that sort of 15 kilos and give you the best chance to be that sort of mum that you want to be and have that body that you want?
That's the trial pitch, right? Does this program sound like it can get you in the best position to achieve X, Y, and Z because of this? And that's the why. So achieve the goals because of this. Does it put you in the best position? It's not, do you want to do it?
Yeah, I like that I can see like someone actually go through it and see the process. I think that's really cool. Really cool.
Okay, perfect. So do you sort of want to go through some of the logistics of how you go about going through the next steps?
Again, I'm asking permission. Do you want to hear about the next steps? Okay, great.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, so the way the program works, it goes for 16 weeks. It's $1,200, and from here, the next steps are we kind of talk about pricing, we talk about the program, we get you inducted, and then we get you put into the community, and we sort of start from there. So, like, how would you like to proceed from here?
Bit of a ninja tactic close. How would you like to proceed from here? It's like, I've been doing sales for a while, so there are easier ways to go. So how does that make you feel, or how does that sound to you? How would you like to proceed from here is like a very, like, it can go badly, so I don't recommend using it, but it's like my usual close, because like it's not saying do you want to do it. It's like, I'm gonna say how would you like to proceed from here. So I can go in a lot of different directions, but I kind of know where it's gonna go because I've been doing this for a long time, and so like I'm prepared for what she says next.
Well, do you guys, $1,200 is like a lot of money up front. Do you guys do payment plans or anything like that?
Yeah, we do. If you'd like me to go through that, I can talk to you about that.
Again, I'm asking for permission, right? So you want me to talk to you about payment plans? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Like, can I do it weekly or anything like that?
So we don't do it weekly, unfortunately, but what we do is we can do, I guess, like one payment of 12, 2 payments of 7, or we can do 3 payments of 5, right? The reason why we do that is just so that, like, it's really, there's a couple of things in it. One is like that sort of mental commitment that, like, okay, like this means something to you. And so, for lack of a word, like the little bit of pain is a good motivator. If people were truly motivated, they would just do stuff. Okay? And so, like, if I was truly motivated to get fit, I would have got up this morning and gone for a run. Right? Now, some of the reasons why we don't is fine, because if we don't know where to start and we're not keen on our plan and we're not sure that it's going to work, then, like, why do it? I mean, but obligation is a great thing. Okay? Because when you're obligated to do something, then you do it. And that little bit of pain, which is that money, and I do understand a small amount of money, and I'm happy to walk you through that and kind of go through it with you.
You always want to make them feel okay for having objections, because all the objections are somewhat valid. It's just that, like, they're what's holding them back. So, like, getting combative is just, it's totally unproductive. So yeah, no problem. I understand. Totally reasonable. Perfectly normal.
And just have a really open conversation about it. But, like, when you obligate yourself to doing it, then you're going to do it because, one, you don't want to waste your money, but two, like, you have folks there and you have a community of people.
What I'm doing here is I'm turning payment into a positive. That's what I'm trying to do. When you pay, you do this. This is why you pay. That's why it's good. Be happy when you pay.
Who you're now in with, and now it's more than just you. And we've already established why this is important to you. So, like, there's some obligations there. Then when you start doing it, then you get the result because you're doing it. When you start getting the result, the intrinsic motivation comes. And instead of us pushing or dragging you over the line, we're just walking beside you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. No, I think the 3 payments of 5, that sounds good. So would I just pay like every 6 weeks or something like that?
Yeah. So it's a 16-week program. So what we do is do 500 today, and then we do 500 in 4 weeks and 500 in 4 weeks. Okay.
I should probably check with my husband.
Okay, so how many of you, be honest, would let them get away with that and go, oh yeah, awesome, this chick's gonna do it, this is amazing, and then she ghosts like 100% of the time? Don't let them get away with it.
I think that should be totally fine.
Okay, so do you mind if I ask you about that?
So I said it like that, like, you can say, do you mind if I coach you on that? Do you mind if I make a suggestion around that? Do you mind if I challenge you on that? It kind of depends on how you go, but do you mind if I talk to you about that? It's very, like, non-combative. So it's like, oh, do you mind if I talk to you about because like I kind of want to, like, I need to get this out of the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously, like the way that we move forward today is we kind of organize everything over the phone, and I understand that you want to speak to your husband. So there's a couple ways that we can kind of go about that. I think you definitely should talk to your husband, and I think that, you know, from everything that you've told me, he's pretty much bored. And from a budget perspective, hopefully this feels like it can fit in. Right now, you guys are spending about $200 to $250 a week on cafes, so this would be about half of that, I would think, probably a little bit, maybe like $150 a week over the month.
That's
so
true.
I would hope does that seem like a reasonable kind of budgetary choice to kind of cut down on some of the cafes and then exchange that with the fitness and coaching regime? Is that reasonable?
I love that line. Is that reasonable? Because of course it's reasonable. So, like, you know, we've already established that your husband's okay with it. You and your husband are spending way more than that on cafe meals, which is taking away from your goal. And like, by sort of touching on it, going, it's perfectly reasonable. I think you should definitely talk to your husband about this. But like, let's talk about the logistics. If he's okay with that, you heard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be eating at a cafe anyway, would I, if I'm doing like a food plan? So.
Exactly, and it's kind of one of those things, right? Like if you're on board and he's all in with you doing it, which you kind of said that he was, then really he'd probably be okay with him not going to the cafe at all, you know. And then maybe he loses some weight and gets rid of the potential dad bod. You know what I mean? I know when I had my kids, I kind of blew out a little bit. So hopefully, like, do you guys feel like you guys could attack this as a team? Do you guys think you could do that?
Oh yeah, definitely. He'd be keen.
Go team.
Okay, all right, perfect. So, if it's okay with you, I'd like to start the process of kind of moving forward so that we can ensure that we get this done. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's just do it, and then I can start. Can I start straight away?
Yeah, absolutely. I just got to take some details off you, just your full name, credit card, and a few other things, and then we'll be done.
All right, so just stop the call there, because obviously I'm not going to give you her full name, email address, credit card number, and address. That's how it's done. So I hope this video was useful to you guys. I know it's long. Well done for you guys sticking to the end. I've done a lot of these calls over the years. I've done them in a lot of different ways. I have a lot of different call recordings as well, of different ways to do things, a more beat 'em up style. I've got calls where I had Housing Commission alcoholics pay $600 up front for a 4-week in-house training program. Like where I had to like verbally beat them up. I've got calls where I've got people crying because they need it so badly. And, like when you can take people down a rabbit hole when you ask them a lot of questions, essentially. And so if I hadn't have done my work in the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to overcome those objections. And the chances of me signing her would have been very, very low. So hope that was helpful, guys, and have a great day.